Murder, torture, wiretaps, all unfolding in our own backyards. Some of the details in this next story are so graphic, we had to wait until 11 o'clock to air it. It's about a violent document forgery ring that was operating in the Richmond area. In this NBC 12 special investigation, Rachel DePompa shows us how this dangerous gang was finally taken down.
Under surveillance.
Bueno, ¿cómo? Sí, bueno.
Phone calls secretly recorded. Mexican crime bosses planted men inside the U.S. to make and sell fake documents. A big business that offered U.S. privileges without the citizenship. They sold over 30,000 fake IDs, social security cards, driver's licenses, green cards. Using Western Union, they funneled more than $1 million to organized crime bosses in Mexico.
We have not seen in Virginia a gang that was this big, that was this sophisticated, that was this violent, that really would engage in unspeakable acts of violence.
This gang used intimidation and force to protect its turf. To take out rivals, they would pose as customers looking for fake documents. They lured 2 competitors inside this trailer in Little Rock, Arkansas. These are the tame crime scene photos, the only ones we could show you. The men were bound, eyes covered with duct tape and beaten. A 17-year-old died. Judge Henry Hudson told prosecutors for U.S. Attorney Neil McBride this was
the most god-awful, horrific, brutal homicide he's ever seen. This from a judge who's been in law enforcement for 30 years.
The fraudulent document ring operated in 11 states and 19 cities, including cells in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Manassas, and Richmond.
In June of 2009, the violence spread to Chesterfield. 2 rival fake document makers were lured to this home on Folkestone Drive in Chesterfield. Inside, they were tortured.
Their hands and feet were bound by duct tape. They were beaten with baseball bats and cut with a knife. The barrel of a semi-automatic handgun was shoved in one victim's mouth, and he was told
basically that they would not be operating in their area anymore, and they made their point very clear.
The conversations and secret snapshots were taken over the course of a year-long investigation by Homeland Security, Immigration, and state and local police.
This was a gang that was absolutely committed and disciplined to make as much money as they could.
The evidence we show you is from the murder trial for Eddie Oliver Jimenez, the Virginia cell leader.
Back in 2010, this apartment on Melmark was at the center of the Richmond investigation.
This is where they made many of the fake documents for Central Virginia. The feds seized computers, printers, and boxes of cards. U.S. Attorney Neil McBride says this whole operation was a threat to national security.
We know from the 9/11 case that a number of the hijackers were able to obtain fake IDs, driver's licenses in various states.
He says these fake documents were good and are out there now helping people avoid detection.
They've committed a crime. They want to commit a crime. They may be in the country illegally. They're doing something to hide their identity.
The violence came to a head on October 29, 2010.
¿Qué pasó? Marito, yo, Luca.
The feds intercepted a phone call and listened in live. The gang's leader, Israel Cruz Milan, called El Muerto, or the Dead One, organized a conference call.
¿No escuchas español? Irá, carnal.
Every one of his cells was listening in, including Richmond. A man in Raleigh, North Carolina, was again duct taped. His feet were put in water. They attached him to a car battery, then beat him and electrocuted him. Agents listening in live actually jeopardized their case and sent local police to save the man's life.
There was a swift response, and ultimately the individual was able to make it out of there safe.
The haunting call meant as a message, this is what happens if you cross them.
30 people have been convicted. El Muerto, the ringleader, is serving 25 years in prison. Rachel DePompa, NBC 12 News.
We put up a slideshow on our website of all the evidence, including some of those phone calls. Just head over to NBC12.com. And while working on this story, Rachel also uncovered a growing cult in Richmond. It's called Santa Muerte. people worshiping the saint of death. See that story tomorrow only at 5 on NBC 12.